Welcome to your second 3D modelling session. In the last session, we had an introduction to your 3D modelling workbook, as well as an introduction to Autodesk Maya. Our aims in this session are to understand the 3D production pipeline, 3D primitives, and 3D components. Our objectives are to use Maya's tools and the attribute editor to develop your own 3D scene using primitives with colourful materials. A production pipeline is a system of tasks that are executed in a specific sequence. The basic production phases for 3D modelling are 3D modelling, UV mapping, and texturing. We are going to be covering one phase per week going forward. 3D modelling, as the name suggests, is the stage where 3D objects are created based on the artwork provided in the pre-production phase. UV mapping is taking an existing 3D model's structure and translating it into a 2D UV map. This map exists within a 2D coordinate system called a UV texture space. Texturing is where a 3D model is given materials based on what those objects are made of. The layout of the 2D texture is based on the UV map created in the UV mapping phase. "3D primitives are the building blocks of 3D. They are basic geometric forms that you can use as is or modify to your needs. You can create a primitive by going to Create, Polygon Primitives, then choose your desired primitive. Some shortcuts to create primitives are kept up here on the shelf. Please create the 3D primitives that the workbook has asked for and put a screenshot into the corresponding boxes. "3D models are composed of polygons. Polygons are straight-sided shapes that are made up of three components. Vertices, or a vertex, is a point in 3D space. An edge is the line that connects the vertices, and a face is the space between the edges. You can select a component type by using the marking menu. This is a menu that allows quick access to common tools. Hold right-click, drag your cursor to the desired selection type, then release right-click. You can now select and interact with that type of component. With the selection tool on, you can drag a marquee box to select multiple components, although this will select everything in the marquee box. Or you can left-click and use Shift or Control to add or remove to that selection. Create a 3D primitive, select each type of component, and add screenshots of your selections to the workbook. The toolbar on the left has Maya's most basic tools. We have the Select tool, the Move tool, the Rotate tool, and the Scale tool. From now, I will be using the keyboard shortcuts to access these tools. Each tool has its own manipulator, and you can transform the object using the manipulator handles. Each handle corresponds to either the X, Y, or Z axes displayed in uniform colours. You can manipulate the selection in just one axis or a combination of axes. Building blocks is the practical task of this session. You are required to create a toy block house using 3D primitives and apply colourful materials to your 3D models. Your toy block house must include the following 3D primitives: spheres, cubes, cylinders and prisms, and it must have at least 3 colours. The toy block house will be created in 2 phases. Phase 1 is modelling. This is where we will create and transform 3D primitives to create the house. And phase 2 is creating materials and applying colour. We'll be using the marking menu and the attribute editor to achieve this. I'm going to start by creating the columns of my house. To make things easier and more accurate, turn on Snap to Grid, located here above the shelf. Now, when I move my object, it will snap to the intersections of the grid lines. I can press Ctrl D to duplicate my object. Using different cameras can help you be more precise when transforming objects. Now that we have our 3D model, we can create materials to add some colour. You can view an object's material in the attribute editor. All objects are assigned the Lambert 1 texture by default. Maya comes with a set of pre-made materials named after the artists that created them. We are going to be using the Lambert material for our colours. To create a material, I select my object, open the marking menu and go to Assign Favourite Material, Lambert. In the attribute editor, I'm going to name this material M for material _ red. I'm going to open the colour editor and choose a red colour. I'll repeat this process for my other colours and make sure texture is enabled in the viewport. Now that my materials exist in my scene, I can assign them to other objects. I can select multiple objects by Shift left clicking them, open the marking menu, down to Assign Existing Material, and I'll choose the material I want to assign. Once you have created your toy block house, frame it nicely in your viewport and take a screenshot and add it to your workbook. Be creative and populate your scene. Add trees, flowers and clouds, anything else that you can think of to add some appeal to it. I look forward to seeing what you come up with. Good luck and have fun. If you have any questions at all, please put them in the questions announcement or message myself or Anand on Microsoft Teams. Thank you for your participation and I'll see you in part 3.